All right, so here we are. We are back. We are live. It is just about 65 degrees. We're going to say mostly cloudy here in the Granite City. A few minutes after 11 o'clock. And with me in the studio is the mayor of the airwaves, RHETT PALMER. How are you? Welcome to the microphone, buddy.
So this is the Granite what?
The Granite City.
The Granite. Well, I appreciate being here. I want you to know that I won't take it for granted. How many times have you heard that one?
A few times. A few times. Brother, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Pleasure to be here,
My
JD.
God. I mean, to have another radio guy with me. And you've been in radio for how many years now?
28.
28 years.
Yeah. It's gone by like that.
And how old are you?
67 years of age.
So first of all, hold up your coffee there so folks can see.
Yes.
This is a real radio man right here. When we see, Raylene, look at this. When you see 4 large coffees stacked up, how many gallons, RHETT, of coffee do you think you've consumed in your 28-year radio career?
Well, I tell you what, I just got off the phone doing an interview on my show back in Florida.
Yes.
Via telephone here, which is what's nice about what we do for a living, because we can be anywhere and we can do it now.
Yes, sir.
And he was a former diplomat to the United States, 5 different nations, and what's his name, David Hunter.
Yeah.
And, of course, we're talking about different situations in the world, and some people are pretty upset with what's going down, but that's always the situation. So whether this plays now or in the future, it'll be relevant. But yes, I need my coffee. Actually, this is first of all, it's deceiving, because what it is I always take 2 cups, and I tell you why. And
right.
I don't want them to know it. Is it called the Maple Leaf, or what's that place called where they sell the gasoline?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
or Maplewoods.
They sell Maplewoods. That's it. And they sell this delicious Green Mountain.
Yeah.
Green Mountain. It's the coffee that keeps the conversation going. So now you can get them as a new sponsor. But they're no longer Vermont.
Yeah.
You know, they got bought out. I think it was $14 million.
Yeah.
14 billion.
Yeah.
Did I say million? 14 billion. I know a guy in town down there at the cider mill.
Yes.
In
Cold Hollow in Waterbury.
In Waterbury.
Yeah.
So my friend Beverly, who's the 90-year-old who has that book out.
Yeah, we got to talk
Beverly
about
Osler, and her son used to work for the guy when he had 6 employees.
Yeah.
And they were roasting some beans, and they decided to call themselves Green Mountain. And then these other characters came along, and I always thought it was some German because, Keurig. I figure, Keurig, some billion. I figure whoever's in the middle of this is because the second most traded commodity in the world is coffee.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so
I didn't know it was second.
Number 1's oil. Number 2 is coffee.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he worked there when they had 6 employees. And they started to make this coffee, roasted it right there in Vermont, I guess near Stowe. And they made delivery. Wouldn't you like to be back there? And
Waterbury.
And these other guys.
Have you been to Waterbury?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I go through there every day. And they this guy came along and said, "Look, we've created this machine."
Yeah.
Later called the Keurig. And said, we need somebody to make these little cups. We're going to call them K-cups.
Sure.
And we'll go into business together.
Yeah.
So the guy just sold the business for $14 billion with a B.
Yeah. And what's amazing is when he first had this idea, was told by many it'll never work.
Of course.
It just won't work.
Got the naysayers,
But RHETT, what's the deal with you, man? I mean, first off, let's give the skinny here for those watching and listening. RHETT PALMER has been in radio for just under 30 years. He has a massive career, not only in radio, but a few years ago, you started your own podcast. Can you let's tell folks about your podcast, please.
Well, first of all, AM and FM as we know it is dying. For anybody 55 and younger, it's dead.
Hang on a second. Can you say that one more time? I wasn't sure I got that all in my...
AM and FM radio is essentially dead. I felt bad about saying this because recently I went I walked by that radio station up in is it Waterbury? You know, they have the guys' pictures in the wall. I think I met one of the guys from there here last time I was here saying hi to you.
Yeah.
And but anyway, and I walked up
WDEV.
and I was looking at the pictures of these handsome guys, these DJs, and all these people that are on there, and I thought, I didn't even go inside. I thought, it's kind of sad because it's like maybe they could make that into a museum, but it's gone. AM/FM is gone. Nobody's listening to it. I mean, right now, the podcast. I started the podcast, I guess a little over a year ago, around a year ago, and now I'm going to sound like I'm boasting. So if you folks want to know, I was a high school dropout, went back, got my GED, but at 67, I just went back to college. You can too.
Holy
And
crap.
guess what? I'm on the dean's list for the last 2 semesters.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm on the dean. And I was always a C minus student.
Unbelievable.
The dean's list. But you know why? The difference is now I want to be there. I'm like a dry sponge. I just want to listen. I want to learn. And I have a little more humility, maybe, knowing, like there was a class on leadership.
Yeah.
Now, I arrogantly thought that I just, by osmosis, knew how to be a leader.
Yeah.
Well, I sucked at being a leader.
Right.
And I took this class on leadership, learning all these little secrets. And, of course, they have these, what do you call the textbooks you get?
Yeah.
And the textbooks are very clear. They're not, it's not some guy trying to make a name for himself so he can go out and speak to large groups. This is collectively whoever it is that writes these textbooks. So it's ego-free. Remember what Reagan said? He said, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit.
Right.
And so these textbooks are written objectively, clearly. They don't have some fancy 80-cent words that they unnecessarily use. There are times for those, but it's very understandable. And I just love going to school now, and it's a new. And I was afraid the kids would. I remember when I went to, I even though I only had my GED, I did attend a little community college a few years back to compensate for my lack of high school education. And I remember I'm in the class. I think I was 21 years of age, maybe 21. And this old guy came in. He was 38 years of age. What's that old fart doing in here? You know?
Right.
So here I am. I'm here the first night. We're taking night classes. And I said, I'm 67. I said, I don't belong here. I'm totally mortified and embarrassed. I got to run out of here. And then suddenly the professor says, you need to write a book. It turns out the professor's been a listener to my show all these years. Oh. So she and I, she's just such a giver. And then the kids all accepted me and embraced me. I was equal to them. They were equal to me. I was equal to them.
Yeah.
It was a great learning experience. So I don't know where I was going with all this. But
So Vero Beach is where you're from.
Hour north of Palm.
All right. And that's where your podcast studio is.
That's right.
So that's where. So tell me about the radio station that you were at for.
I was with Clear Channel, and I brokered the time for about 26 years.
All right.
And suddenly, it's kind of a controversial subject. There's speculation that Black Lives Matter was demanding equal time.
Yeah.
They had to give equal time. So the only way out of that was to change the format to music. After 26 years, and overnight, they said, you no longer have a show on AM and FM. I said, I have a contract. They said, we don't care. That's Clear Channel, and according to a congressman I've now talked with, Clear Channel, the uppity uppers there, they're just milking it for all it's worth, and they're draining it for all the money they can, the higher ups, and they're just going to let it die.
So you thought about getting an attorney, maybe?
I thought about getting an attorney, but at $500 an hour.
Boom. Yeah. Right. And,
So-
you're going up against Clear Channel.
But the cool thing is now
But
I'm
Rhett, this is where radio's going, man.
I'm on the live broadcast is now on what? I'm on all the Spotify, all these things. We're streamed and stuff. And the podcast, we're number 33 or 34 in Sweden and number 42 in Austria. And this is according to information that Apple sends to me.
Yeah, right.
So this is legitimate stuff. And maybe it was an accident. I don't know.
That's
Just this morning,
Fred.
I had a guy on the show, a diplomat. He says, "Oh, my friend ran into your show in England."
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who's listening to this.
Well, that's right. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's what's
somebody
so
decided they used to live in Vermont, in Barrie,
right.
or wherever, and they started, hey, that's JD.
Yeah.
Next thing you know is they're living in Tallahassee or they're living out in Arizona, and you've got a fan out there. And everywhere you go,
Right.
you can give out your card and cultivate more of an audience.
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
And so you and I have somewhat similar stories. I mean, I was in radio for a very long time and got out and started the podcast.
Yeah, you have
and
phenomenal success. How many years were you in?
I was
30?
in radio for 30 years.
That's more than me. 30 years. And you've been doing this for how long?
Since 2018.
Oh, so you got 33 years.
Yeah.
You're married?
I'm not married.
Kids?
One kid,
That's good.
6-year-old little girl.
Oh,
And
you're a rich man.
Sherilyn has been putting up with this foolishness for a very, very long time.
Well, if you want your numbers to go up, sit her right here.
Well, she has. Well, she has. She's been. The listeners love her because she.
You should have a shirt that has a picture of her and say, "Listen to my show so I can support my daughter." And they'll do it.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
It isn't.
That's not a bad idea at all.
I tell waitresses all the time, I said, wouldn't you like to get more tips? I said, you're a single mom with 3 kids? Get a button made. Put it right here.
Yeah.
Okay, here, help your kids out. And if you're not a mom, how about I'm a student? I need your support.
So when did all this happen with Clear Channel? What year was that you had the plug pulled on you?
What was it, a year ago? About a year ago.
That's it.
Yeah. They just out of the blue, after 26 years.
Right.
And, they were making the better part of $100,000 a year off of me. That's what I was paying for that airtime.
Unreal, man.
So it was kind of arrogant for this young guy to come in. I wonder if the higher-ups, I wonder if he's still working there because, you're willing to throw that away.
Wow.
To change the format to old-time
Well,
records?
everything has morphed here. I mean, talk radio, AM radio, I mean, everything is, as you well know, consolidation and technology have played a huge role in the radio industry. There's voice tracking now, which a lot of people don't really understand, but there's...
like you used to be on shows all across America, but you can go in and do an hour in, 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Because you go in, and I don't even know how it works myself. See,
Oh,
I'm
it's
not a DJ.
unbelievable.
Remember, I'm a talk host.
Yeah.
You're a technical guy as
Right.
well. I mean, you know how to do all those things.
Yeah.
and-
Well, you hear the outro and the intro, you voice track it, and you're done. You're out of there in 30 minutes.
And so what they decided is they get it one guy like you, they fire everybody else, and he does
3 stations.
or more.
Or more.
You were doing 3 and 4 at
Yeah,
one point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And every time you do it, you got a different name, and you're doing a different air shift on a different radio
JD,
station,
you got that voice there.
which could be out of market too. I mean, it's all over the place. You know this.
Yeah.
So when did you? What did you do? You went home that night, and after Clear Channel came in, you said, "I'm going to do a podcast."
Well, first of all, it was
I did?
I was in disaster mode. What the heck is going on here? Well, I knew that I had to have a podcast, and I blabbed about it,
Yeah.
And when all is said and done, a lot is said and a little is done.
Right.
So I'm blabbing about it, and this forced my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, well, I'm fat and happy. I'm making a good living. Why should I? Well, I will. I got to have a podcast. That's the new thing. Well, this forced my hand, and it's really amazing because I want to give credit where credit's due. There's a guy named John Hamilton, and he's involved in 240-something stations across the United States.
All right.
He started with one station. It's a Christian station, and they now feed over 250 other stations. So, he was in the same town I'm in, and he immediately came to my rescue. He said, he says, I talk about you wherever I travel. I said, you do? Why? He says, because you came to a small town like Vero Beach, Florida, and made something out of nothing. And he said, I want to help you. So he immediately put the things together. He even made a donation financially. This is a Christian guy, and this guy, and he put me together with. He gave us, we got an app made, we got Spotify, all the stuff, and did it.
Yeah.
And just got us immediately going. He said, your people will follow you. You just got to be out there, let them know where you are, start advertising it, promoting it, newspapers, billboards, get it out over the air. And, people are pretty loyal, just like you. I mean, there's people that listen to you on old-timey radio here for years and years.
Right.
And they're going, what happened to G? Next thing you know, and you're great with a storefront here. What a great idea.
Isn't this
I applaud
amazing?
you. And it's a beautiful studio. And I don't know what you're paying for all this, but
Well, we're right on North Main Street here, which
and I
is
bet
incredible.
I bet you could get a grant for doing regional stuff. You might consider that.
I've got
You're
so much
community radio, man.
Yeah, I've got so much. Well, yeah, I mean that's what it's come to, and the local stations that are right here in our backyard have really lost the intimate engagement with the community. When I say intimate, I'm talking about being A, really local,
Yes.
B, really live.
Yes.
We
People want that.
we got jocks who don't even live in central Vermont, who are
They're out in Wisconsin somewhere.
doing the morning show.
Good morning, Barry. How are you?
Yeah, pre-recorded from the day before.
It's a baloney.
You understand, and I understand, the days of being really live, really local. When Main Street floods or there's a fire in town, we've got it on. Who do you
turn to?
We've got it on right away. Right, exactly. And now I intend to bring that here and do that here. And people are really catching on.
How about a big sign in the window that says, for emergency local information, log on here.
Yeah, right.
People go, oh, we better write that down, Doris.
He gets great ideas.
Yeah.
But isn't it?
Because everybody's going to go, hey, we better get that here.
But with all due respect, I mean, folks that have been in radio for so long, who are right around your age, they only know terrestrial radio. So to unplug from that and go non-terrestrial,
it's traumatizing.
It is.
Yeah.
And it can be intimidating. But
Very
I mean,
much
look
so.
at the reach, though. Like you said, come on, you got
The
listeners
only problem
all over
is I don't know how to monetize the people that are listening in Austria and Sweden.
Well,
how do I do that?
well,
What you want to Sweden? You want to come to Florida? We're working out the deal.
there's a whole
I'll
lot
be your
to that.
personal tour guide.
There's a whole, you got to have somebody working for you that knows how to do that, or you need to have a lot of time in your schedule to be able to do that. There's a whole lot to it. You're your own sales rep. You're everything.
Yeah.
So how many shows? First of all, where do we find your podcast?
You find my podcast everywhere where podcasts are.
Yeah, YouTube.
Every valid. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
All those,
Yes.
And what's amazing, I had Sean Hannity's manager lives in our town. So I had Sean Hannity's manager come on my show.
Yeah.
And he was talking a year ago about podcasts. I said, but, it was all new to me. I said, well, how do people find it? He goes, I don't know. But he said, but they find it. It's amazing. Everybody know. Do you listen to podcasts?
All the time.
I'm telling you what, it's the most.
Look
at
the
this.
time.
Who's this joker that started out? Look, I've been in radio 28 years.
Right.
Okay, I had a detective come in. And he said, how many people have you interviewed? I said, I don't know. So he's back in our green room. I said, I got to go do my show. He
Sure.
said, how many hours a day are you on? Blah, blah, blah. How many years? Okay. I come back from doing a half hour. He says,
Right.
well, you've interviewed over 40,000 people.
Yep.
In these 20, this at the point it was the 25th anniversary, 25 years.
Yeah.
It's no wonder I can't remember people's names.
Right.
I mean, how many people have you interviewed in 33 years? But of course, you were also a music DJ.
Yes. Yes.
Did you interview like pop stars or country singers and
Yes.
stuff like that?
Yes, many. Just the podcast alone, we've got about right around 500, just over 500, I think.
So far, yeah.
So far. But I love this. I mean, I love doing this.
Yeah, you can tell you do.
The connectivity with the community is amazing, and beyond is amazing. Is amazing, and you get great response, and it's just. And here's the thing about characters like you and I. We are what we do, what we've become, and without doing this, we're lost.
I tell you what.
What the hell else would you
I'm
be doing?
67.
What
I don't
else
want
would
to
you
get up
do?
every day and play golf. I don't even like golf. I'm not very inclined. Whenever I get the desire to exercise, I sit down. I wait till it passes.
But what would we do, Rat, without this?
I don't know.
We'd be lost.
I'd probably become an alcoholic and drink myself
Something.
to death.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's who we are. It's what we do.
Yep.
And we love this. We love this. We've also loved having the connection with people
what it
without them being able to see us. But now we bring these stupid cameras into it, and Don Imus was doing that. Howard Stern was doing that.
Yep.
We're starting to bring cameras into the radio studio.
Yep, they were way ahead of their time.
Big time.
And you look at this fancy schmancy stuff. I don't have this. I want you to come down to Florida and set me up,
Brother.
Make me look better.
You invite me to Florida, and I'm coming on.
Okay, you come on down. You can do your show from my studio. You know what I mean? We can go bask in the sun every day. In exchange, you help me. You say,
Your studio is absolutely amazing. Amazing.
What you've seen, you mean on
what I have seen on your podcast on YouTube.
Well, I have
Incredible.
My gal did that. That's Barbara, and I don't know where.
This is your wife.
Yeah.
How many years married?
We've been together 12 years.
Okay.
I don't know where she got the ability. I mean, I didn't even understand how she did that, but she decorated. You can see it. It's got the black lines. It's got the red.
Yeah.
And it's just. I mean, I've had guys come in who have complimented it, who said, I've been in a lot of radio stations. This is beautiful, just like yourself. So
where's the studio, though?
It's on Royal Palm Point in Vero Beach, Florida. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from Orlando. It's over on the East Coast. It's half an hour south of Melbourne, an hour and a half south of Daytona, and an hour north of Palm Beach. 3 hours north of Miami.
What's the building that you're in?
It's it's like you. It's a small, what do you call it? A plaza.
Yeah.
A little plaza. And there's a hair salon there, and there's a restaurant to the left of me. There's a restaurant to the right of me. That's good.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you. That's kind of you.
And how lucky you are to be.
But I don't have this equipment. You're making me look better.
What are you talking about?
You know how most people say you make me look bad. You're making me look better. So you gotta come down. And he's got these lights on, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see. But actually, you should have a cam over there. And once in a while, flash to it, showing a view of over here. They'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Really, you walk in here and it's like, wow.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that.
Yeah, put a little cheap camera over there.
I'm taking notes here, bud. You
better, boy.
You got some great ideas.
I'm going to send you a bill.
RHETT PALMER, my consultant.
RHETT PALMER, I got this bill here, honey, for $5,000. He says, but no cash necessary. Just come to Florida and help me work on my studio.
Is it possible to come down there in January, February?
You're coming, baby.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
please. It gets rough up here. Have you ever been up here during January, February, March?
If you come and really help me out, I'll even get you a ticket. If you go to Portland, Maine, I'll fly you down.
Wow.
Yeah, you and your gal. No charge.
Have you ever been up in the North Country up here during the horrific months of?
Okay, I'm originally from upstate New York.
Oh, okay. Hello.
So
yes, of course.
I do not like the brackish, salty water of Florida.
Okay.
I do not like the grass. It's hard. You'll find out. Have you been? The ants down there literally bite you, so you can't go out and have a picnic. This is my turf.
Say
Vermont, Connecticut, New York State. That's where I was reared. This is my grass. This is my soil. I love it up here. I started to come up here. Did you ever hear of? You've heard of Killington, of course.
Yeah.
In Killington, Vermont, there's the New Life hiking spa.
Don't know.
Okay, Jerry, Mr. Not Lamont. What's his name? He's retiring after 40 years this year. But I would fly up or drive my RV up, and I'd go for this 12 days.
Yeah.
And the first time I went there, it's hiking. They have all these vans. There's about 40 to 50 people at a time. You come in. Well, first of all, I couldn't afford $10,000 a week, like these big shots around the United States, go out to Colorado and stuff. Yeah. His is only $250, I think, a day, or $200 a day. So I stayed for 12 days. Well, anyway, they take you out and they do these little hikes, and you can do just hiking down dirt trails, or you can do real hiking. There's moderate, there's intermediate, and then there's advanced hiking. I did the advanced once, and survived. But
once.
But I went there, and 4 days in, I gained 4 pounds.
Yeah.
I said, you guys are full of crap. The Predican diet and all this stuff. They said, hold on, Mr. Palmer. You're building up muscle. The muscle will become a fat-burning machine. I woke up on the 6th day and had lost 6 pounds. So they were right. By exercise, by doing these hiking, and you don't feel bad about eating these, like there's no sugar and there's no salt on the tables.
Yeah.
And they put you on this diet. But when everybody else in the room is miserable, you're not so miserable. What kind of soup is this?
So this is how you started coming to Vermont. But I want to hear about why you're here now in Stowe.
Well, I interviewed Beverly Osler.
All right.
Who was making love to her husband. They owned an inn where they shot a major motion picture out in Stowe. And after making love at 49, he dropped dead, smoked a lot of cigarettes. And she was lost, her only love of her life, the only man she'd ever made love to. She tells it all in her book, Second Act. She left Stowe and went down to the Keys and purchased a houseboat. And she lived on the houseboat and did all these things. And I guess she actually dated one of the guys from the other station up here. I'm not sure of his name. I think he owned it.
Okay.
He sold that station in Stowe. But anyway, so here's what happened. Now, I go to this event for charity.
10 Squire?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she used to date him. And she was good looking when she was young. Well, I tell you what,
Boy.
She's 90 now, and she still looks good.
Rhett's dropping some dirt this
She
morning.
dolls herself up. Well, she's good looking, yeah. Anyway, but she's a lovely human being. So here's what happens. So like you, I go to they have a charity event in Vero Beach, Florida, where they have all these round tables, about 100 people. And they have all these people that represent the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, all these non-for-profits. They're all seated, 5 per table. You're in the media. You sit at a table here. Ring your bell. Ring your bell. Okay, 5 minutes are up. Now I get up, move to another table, and they say, well, how do we get on your show, Mr. Palmer? We want to promote that we're going to have this truck festival up here, and the benefit is Ralph. Ralph fell down and broke his leg last time. Okay, so you do this, you submit this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so she's one of the people at the table. And then I turned to her, she said, well, she was working for some non-for-profit or something, and said, I'd like to give you my book. Okay. So, I get a book.
Yeah.
I get a gazillion books because this sells books.
Yeah.
So we get review copies all the time. So it's in my office. Anyway, so finally this lady calls. I don't know who she is. And I can't return every call. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but anyway, she's at the door of the studio. Hi, did you get my book? What book? So come back and sit in the back of the studio. She does. I go, and there it is, still packed up. I zip it open. Here's your book. I said, do you want to do an interview? We had an interview. We became friends. She donated her services to make coffee for the guests for the next couple of years.
All right.
We became good friends, and she brought me up to the 1860 house in Stowe. Her friend Rose owns it.
Yeah.
So we started coming to Stowe and fell in love with that nice little town. And, now I come down to Barrie, and I go up to Burlington. I love that road coming back from Burlington. This 89.
89, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Florida's flat.
Yeah, right.
It's got sunshine for 8 months of the year. It's paradise as far as weather, but it's not the love of my life and I love palm trees and everything, but I don't like the grass. I don't like the brackish water. I don't even go to the ocean down there.
Wow.
No.
So how long have you been coming to Vermont? I mean,
10 years.
Stowe.
To Stowe, 6 years. Killington and stuff for maybe 10. No, about 12, 13 years. But they're closing up shop now. He's retiring.
So every summer? Is it?
Yeah.
It's every summer.
Yeah. We also go over to Maine. Next week we'll be in Maine. We're going to go up to Bar Harbor.
Yeah.
Get some lobster.
Yeah.
And because Barbara likes to hike, I do not.
All right.
But I have to for her.
Well, she's got to do Cadillac Mountain.
And she's only 5'2" and weighs 93 pounds. She's a teeny tiny thing that doesn't need to exercise.
Oh, my God.
I obviously like to eat.
Well, you tell her to do Cadillac Mountain.
We've done Cadillac Mountain.
You
want to hear the bad news this year? We've been warned. When we get there, they put up some new Ranger, what do you call those things people sit inside? When you pay, you have to pay.
Yeah.
You have to pay extra money to go up Cadillac Mountain.
To drive up Cadillac?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
No.
Oh.
Government.
Wow. You ever seen the sunrise up there?
Oh, no. I'm sleeping.
First place on the eastern seaboard.
You have?
Yeah. It's the first place on the eastern seaboard that the sun touches land.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's beautiful.
Cadillac Mountain.
Have you been to the mountain up in New Hampshire? What's that one where they do the weather?
Mount Washington, of course. Oh, yeah.
First time I went up there, we stayed at the Mount Washington Inn. And this time I had
the hotel?
Yeah. At this time I had an RV. So we didn't have a car. So they had these loaners, these Volvos.
Yeah.
You ever driven a Volvo?
Yeah.
And I guess they do that there because if you stay there and they give you a free loaner, you drive a Volvo and you go, wow, these have really come a long way. But anyway, so they gave me a little sedan and we drove up Mount Washington.
Yeah.
And I was sweating profusely, the white knuckle.
Sure.
It is so narrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's
Yeah.
scary. We got up there. It was below 32 degrees
Yeah.
in the middle of the summer. You can see
yeah.
snow, and we're blowing the wind, blowing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, love it up there.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So you tour around New England.
Yeah, love New England.
Do me a favor. Say coffee again.
Coffee.
Say it again. Say it again. Say it
That's
again.
the only giveaway.
Come on, say it.
Coffee. I want some coffee there.
So that's how we know you're from
from
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Poughkeepsie, my brother went to the Culinary Institute of America.
In Hyde Park. My grandmother used to live in Hyde Park.
Yeah, amazing.
I did a show from there. You could go there too, you know. Call ahead. They'll give you a free lunch and you interview some of the chefs.
Have you done that?
Yeah.
Of course you have. Of course you have. Dumb question. Of course you have.
Yep.
And kudos to Brian Judd for introducing you to me to you.
Yeah, Brian Judd is a movie actor.
Yes, he is.
Who has recently come home to Barrie.
Yeah.
And I met him at a business meeting of sorts. And he said, I got to introduce you to this guy, JD. He's got a storefront. And, of course, the first time walking in here, I just, wow, you've done a great job.
Well, radio guys and podcasters, I mean, we all kind of stick together.
We need to. We should start some sort of an organization or something.
I don't
like
know.
That.
Maybe.
Have like a convention.
Let's do it. As
Yeah.
long as it's in Florida, in,
We'll do it down
in
there.
February, I'll be
Okay.
there, of course.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad
No,
idea.
no.
It's not at all. But
We could give out awards.
what are some of the I was stalking you a little bit on Facebook and looking picture of you with Kasem.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And you know what? He said, this is when I was younger, obviously you can tell, much younger. It's about 25, 27 years ago. I was out for Talk Host Awards out in California, and he said, you've got a great future in radio, RHETT. And he encouraged me. And you know what? I lack follow-through. Well, another guy met him 10 years after me, but he called him back and became friends with him. And Kasem helped him, and his name is Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, you're kidding me.
$80 million a year income. But you know what? He walked through the door. I never thought to call him. I figured, I didn't want to bother somebody. I probably should have. If I'd said, hey, will you mentor me? He told me, quote unquote, you have a great future in radio, RHETT.
When and where did you meet Kasem?
It was somewhere in Hollywood. I think it's the same hotel where they have the awards, like the Grammy Awards and all that
Yeah.
other stuff, or
Yeah.
the Academy Awards.
Right.
And he was there, and so were a whole bunch of other radio talk hosts, and it was a radio convention.
Do you love your podcast more than radio? Maybe that's not a fair question, but
Okay.
what are the
When
pros?
I'm live, I'm goofy,
Yeah.
and people like that. But it's not what I call a quote-unquote keeper. Whereas I have ADD, so I also have a gift. I got to meet, what's his name there? Who's the number one talk host on TV? King. I met Larry King a few years ago, and he said, his son said, my father has ADD. The negativity about that is if there's three people in here, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm jumping all over the place. If I got one person,
Right.
I have what's called hyperfocus. He had it. So you have one person on, I hyperfocus. When I'm not live, I don't do goofy. I go, who are you? Ask the next question. Listen. Ask the next
Understand.
question. Why? And it becomes a much more intimate format. So podcasting, when it's not involved in live, is a superior interview and entertaining in that way, but not with a phone. But look at this other guy that came along. He has a podcast. You know who I'm talking about. He's got the number one podcast.
Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Spotify gives him $100 million if
Right.
he'll exclusively be on Spotify.
Yeah, I know.
And this guy, I know he's okay. I mean, a lot of people like him, but
I think he said no.
no, he took the $100 million.
All right.
And but the guy swears every 20 seconds.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I just don't want to listen to that.
Yeah.
I want to have content.
Right.
So that's my answer. I'm not trying to put down Joe Rogan, obviously. Am I envious? Yeah, I'd like to have. I don't want his money, but I wouldn't mind having.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just take $2 or $3 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and for me, I mean, we're live right now. I get guests that ask me, we're taping this, right? This is pre-recorded. No. And
yeah, but it is recorded too, though, right?
I mean, it's yeah.
So, like, if I as a guest want an MP3 of this, you
got it
email
right here.
to me.
Absolutely,
I could put it on my
so
show.
The second we're done,
we should do that.
There's a link that's generated, and you've got it right here.
Put it on send it to my webmaster. It's on my website. That's the way authors do it,
Yeah, of course.
And that gives you promotion.
But there's a lot of podcasts that are pre-recorded and highly produced.
Meaning, what does that mean?
Well, post-production. I mean, there's a lot of editing. There's a lot of fancy schmancy stuff and text and video and stuff that's put on top of it, which I think, just for where I'm coming from, I think can be a little overloading.
I don't do that.
See, I'm used to, and I explained this to guests when I was on Froggy. I was live. I mean, really, truly. Remember when radio was really, truly live?
Yeah.
And that's just what I've become accustomed to.
It's like live theater. It's fun because it's live. It's
It's
vulnerable.
If there's a difference, like, I think what you're saying, we agree here. There's a difference in your personality if you know that you're being pre-taped. That if you're not.
Barbara Streisand was doing a new record out west in California, and she left at midnight that night. She came back the next morning. She says to the engineer who'd been up all night working on the recording, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
He said, "I went in there and I edited out all your breaths." She goes, "Put them back."
Exactly.
Sinatra was vulnerable. The Beatles were vulnerable. The
course
Beach Boys were vulnerable. Listen to the Stones. Sometimes they sing off key, but it's real. It's human. Don't take the humanness out of it.
Exactly. And we have things that happen all the time here when we're live that we weren't really necessarily expecting. I mean, people walk by the sidewalk. We see things and we experience things.
You have any bad guys walk in here like with a gun and hold you up?
Haven't had that happen yet, but
give me all the money you're making in radio.
We're unfiltered, man. We're unfiltered. We don't edit stuff out or in.
Yeah.
Other than Casey Kasem, drop some other big names of highlights of your career, RHETT, who you've met, interviewed.
Well, first one that comes to mind is Billy Graham.
Wow.
I said to the Lord above, I said, now, if you don't give me Billy Graham, then I don't think you've been in my life. This is just a personal thing with me.
Yeah.
So a few years later, I was at Jeb Bush's inauguration. I'd called his I could never get through to his publicity guy in Texas. But finally, he says, look, he just all of a sudden, he seemed like he liked me. He says, look, I'm almost 7 foot. You can't miss me in a crowd, blah, 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 blah. So that day I met him. And there's all kinds of traffic after the inauguration, which, of course, Dr. Graham spoke at. We rush back to the hotel. We're down in the basement with the cleaning women, and they're doing laundry and stuff. And so Billy Graham drives up. Now, he would never go in a limousine, and he wouldn't ride in the back. He rode right next to the driver in the front, very humble. I open up the door, and I have to help Dr. Graham up. I thought, my gosh, because I saw him in England. I saw him in Florida. I saw him in New York, Albany, New York. I mean, I've seen the guy around the world and on TV. And so here I am helping Billy Graham, who was in his early 90s at this point, get out of the car. We walk in the underground doors there at the big fancy schmancy hotel in Tallahassee. And all of a sudden, all the maids are there. And they start crying. It's like they think God is walking in here. He's just a man. He's a reverend,
Yeah.
But anyway, they're all crying. And then they push us into this room. And it's just Dr. Graham, myself, and his publicity guy, public relations. And Dr. Graham was the most humble, caring individual. That day it was very blustery in Tallahassee. Remember, that's up near the border, so in the wintertime it gets a little cool there.
Sure.
My face was beet red. So he leans in and he goes, are you okay? Your face is kind of red, son. I mean, he didn't give a dang about the radio interview. He cared about me as a human being. And I like what, what's his name? William Jefferson Clinton. Remember, he said, I did not have sex with that woman. And anyway, the whole thing went over everywhere like that. And, he was, and at the time I'm watching TV, whether you like Bill Clinton or not, or approve or don't approve or whatever, he's a human being, and I love human beings. So my mercy is great. I love people. I forgive them. At that moment, I thought he's got to be thinking about suicide, because at that moment, his world was dark. It was falling apart.
Crumbling,
He'd
yeah.
lied to the American people, blah, blah, blah. He said Dr. Graham flew in.
Yeah.
He said he didn't talk at me. He spoke with me. He didn't preach at him. He didn't think he was holier than that. One thing Billy Graham, he always said we. He didn't say you. He didn't point the finger and yell at people like these screamers. I'm sorry, I don't like the screamers. I think there's a bunch of phonies out there on radio and TV. I don't like screamers.
Yeah.
I don't like people who put other people down. But that's my own thing, I had somebody that screamed at me when I was a kid, so I don't. Stepfather, So I don't like people that scream at people.
Huh.
And Dr. Graham was the most humble person. So if you're going to ask me what's the most important interview I did, probably Dr. Graham. Now, Walter Cronkite, I call him Cantankerous Cronkite in my book, which I have not released, because we made an agreement that I was on Martha's Vineyard, and he said I could be interviewing him on Saturday morning. Well, I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning reading his book, highlighting, underlining, putting questions. Would have been the greatest interview in all of the history of radio. And in the morning he says, well, I've decided I'm going to go out on my boat instead. But you know who was nice to me on the same island? Mike Douglas. I thought he would be the nice guy. Mike Douglas would be the tough guy. Totally the opposite. I called Mary, his wife. I got the number at the house, and got the number for CBS. And you remember him, 60 Minutes, Mike Wallace.
Yeah, sure.
And so I called New York. And then I went out for the day on Martha's Vineyard, riding around in a little rented red Jeep. I get back, and they say, well, Mike will meet with you, blah, 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 blah. Well, it'd been in the afternoon, so I called back and said, oh, no, he changed his mind. Rolling Stone magazine was with him last week on the island. They took up his whole weekend. He just doesn't want to do it. Well, I sang, and I'd never been prone to depression, but at that moment, I felt it go out my feet. I was depressed. So I went over to I knew he was flying in from a little puddle jumper from Manhattan into Martha's Vineyard for the weekend, and I didn't see him coming. So then I went back home, and I prayed to the good Lord up above, and I think I got a little sign that things would work out. It's personal. And I go back, and I call Mary. He said, oh, he just flew in. He's taking a taxi home. I said, oh, Mary, I wish I'd known. I would have given him a ride. But then I backed off, because I thought if I push too hard and this guy gets irritated with me, I'll never get an interview. You got to know when to hold him, when to fold him,
Yeah, right.
and when to walk away. And so I didn't call back, and he didn't call me. So the next day, we're supposed to go over to Nantucket. We canceled for some reason. We went to a movie that night. Guess who comes in and sits right in front of me?
Come on.
I said, Mr. Wallace. I said, Mr. Mike Wallace. I said, could I talk to you? I want to speak to you. He says, after the movie, I'll meet you outside. So anyway, I get outside after the movie, and everybody's clearing. I said, he snuck out the back door. He ain't coming. Suddenly, I turned around. There he is. He goes, what exactly is it that you want? Just like that. Kind of tough. And I said, well, I'm on a small station in Florida. It's not going to do you any good, but it would mean the world to me. Just honest. You're humble.
Sure.
I said, it would mean the world to me if I could interview you. He says, I'm going to play tennis. Here's my address. Be at my house at noon tomorrow on Sunday. We'll do the interview. And we got to the house. They took us on a tour. We all became friendly and gave me this wonderful interview.
Isn't that something?
Nice guy. But, the circumstances, he happened to sit down in the theater. Usually if you push, the man upstairs will help you.
Yeah.
But you got to do the walking.
How many shows do you do a week?
Now? When I'm back home?
Yeah.
Well, I do almost every day, yeah.
And who's driving the bus when you're up here in Vermont? Who's running the controls?
I have people like you have over here. I have an engineer.
Yeah.
Well, I have 3 engineers, actually, each working part-time.
Wow.
And they do that. And so I call in and, are you there, Noah?
Yeah. And that's one of your
or
producers.
Mr. B. B as in boy. Remember, be good, be Mr. B here. So
Yeah.
Oh, we got pizza here, man. Is that the pizza man, huh? The pizza man.
What are you hoping to do next? With what kind of aspirations do you have?
Well, I thought I'd run for the presidency of the United States of America. You can't do any worse than what's going on right now. When I met what's his name? Who was the guy that was the vice president for George Sr.? Quayle.
Dan Quayle.
Dan Quayle. Now, I forget how it happened, but I'm there with Dan Quayle, and he says, well, I'm going to do this. We followed him all through this labyrinth and down some fire escapes and up the others, and we end up in this room. And he says, I'll do you after I do this one-on-one with CNN. So they had the one camera there. He's going to face the camera. He goes, does anybody have a compact? Does anybody have a compact? And then some lady goes, I have one. And he goes, he's putting on this stuff. And nice guy,
God.
Sweet guy, but I do not believe I have the intellectual capability of being the president of the United States, which probably means I probably should be. But I don't think I do. And it's the first time I said there, but for a $500 million inheritance, go I. I should be the vice president before he should be the vice president. Now, his wife, on the other hand, she was smart. She should be just like with what's the name guy ran Romney.
Yeah,
I met Romney, and and I interviewed him, but I also interviewed his wife. I'd like to see his wife as president. Seriously, the wives are oftentimes far brighter than the guys. I tell you what,
What's your goal with the podcast? Where do you want to be in another couple of years?
I would like Spotify to approach me and offer me, $10 million to be exclusive with them.
Are you happier doing this than you were in your 28 years in radio?
Well, it's a switch up. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Because, at first you're going like, is anybody out there?
Yeah.
And so it's very nebulous. It's different. Some of the older people go, I don't get it. I'm not going to download your app. I can't do it. And, it's like, well, you're dead. Why don't they just put dirt on you now?
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and I know what that feels like because it's all new. We've got an app on the iPhone that
Sure.
I'm doing stuff that I don't even know I'm doing. I'm streamed as you are.
Yeah.
And that's live. But also, then that's the live stuff. But we're on Facebook. Oh, here's what happened here, though. Now I was doing really good. I will boast to you and say that we were getting between 400, sometimes 800 a day on average for Facebook.
Yeah.
The best time I ever had on Facebook was I interviewed a very controversial doctor interview, and I got 61,400 views of the video. And you can't lie on Facebook.
Yeah. No, you can't.
61,400. So now what happened is I said something about associating a certain party, Republican, Democrat, whatever, with Hitler. This is 2 or 3 years ago. They shut me down. They said, you can't go live for a month.
Who shut you down? Facebook?
Yeah. And when I got back, they had messed with my numbers. So people aren't notified when I'm live. They do that, They mess with the, what do you call that
The
thing?
analytics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
the algorithms.
And now some days I get 20 people.
Yeah.
So now, but they also go to Vero's Voice magazine, and I got 5,000 followers on RHETT Palmer, but I got to change something. Maybe you know how to do that. I got to start something new because they say once they mess with your analytics, they're not going to change them back. And it's horrific. Muzzling people is not the way to run America.
Sure.
I on my show, always left wings, right wings, and everything in between, gay, straight, I don't care what you are,
Same here.
Muslim, atheist, you're welcome on my show.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
You're stupid if you don't open yourself up, because if you can contest me and you can knock me off my pedestal, then I deserve to be knocked off.
Sure.
And also, you take a proverbial spring, you stretch it out, it never goes all the way back. You go,
Yeah.
I've had times where I go, oh, I didn't think of that,
Right.
We all need to confer and work together.
Isn't it amazing, though, Rhett, with Arbitron and the ratings of radio and how you have seen how they can be over-exaggerated and manipulated and fudged for the sake of the sales staff.
We're number one with males that are 8 to 10 years old.
Exactly. and to go around and have your sales staff on the street pushing that with what we're doing, this non-terrestrial medium.
Yeah,
there's no fudging. The proof is in the pudding.
It is what it is.
You see numbers.
Yeah.
Real for what they are.
Yeah.
There's no way to get around it.
And there's accumulation, though, because you may have, even when you're on radio, let's say there's a day that I only have, 300 or 900 or whatever, but you accumulate that over a month, there's a whole lot of listeners.
That's right.
So, but people maybe don't understand that. I wish they didn't put up all the numbers,
Yeah.
But what's nice about this whole thing with podcasting is, I used to come. I like Oprah. I don't have to apologize. Anybody may not like that. You may not like it, but I loved Oprah. And I would come home every day at 3:00. Well, all of a sudden we started to have this thing called DVR.
Yeah.
So I'm recording Oprah. Mm-hmm. Then I say, hey, I don't have to rush home at night at 6:00 to watch the news. I had every TV show. So all of a sudden I got in the habit. Now, the New York Times did an article, and they said once somebody listens to non-advertising TV, they will never go back to advertisements because you can zoom by them, This is why Netflix is so good. You're paying them $20 a month. It's commercial free.
That's right.
And they're making billions, and they're putting it all into these great shows. Do you watch Netflix?
Very much.
I'm watching Heartland right now. Mm-hmm. I only just started watching. It's got 13 years. It's over now. 13 years. I'm in the middle of this. I'm obsessed with these people and their ranch,
Have you been bitten by the Ozark bug?
I heard it was good. I have not.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You got to watch that.
First one I watched was where the guy was addicted to meth.
Yeah.
That was my first binging ever. It's kind of a negative movie. What's the movie about the binging?
I don't know. I mean, so many.
Which one?
Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Breaking Bad. Yeah. It's really a very evil TV show. I mean, I'm in the middle of this feeling not very wholesome and clean, but it was well done.
Yeah.
And it's whatever they've done, they've taken the soap opera and moved it into TV land.
Yeah.
And, right every night I'm watching at least 3 episodes of Heartland.
Sure.
What's going to happen next? Are they going to get married or break up? You got tears every night. You got laughs every night.
You have had, and I've had a chance to scroll through some of your podcasts on YouTube, which is your main platform, I think. Fair to say, right?
I don't know. I think just downloading the podcast off the pod sites.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about YouTube.
Yeah. Well, the YouTube's pulling in the video and the audio, but you've had some great guests on there. Right? Who's booking all these guests?
Me.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson. He was really cool.
What?
Yeah, Mike Tyson. I liked him.
I just watched a documentary on Mike Tyson.
I just want to be a family man. I just want to be friends with everybody. I just want to. Yeah, that's what I
don't mean no harm to anybody. I just want to do what I do best.
If you don't have discipline, you don't have it. Sounds a little like Marlon Brando. If you don't have discipline, you don't have anything. What can I say? I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Now you're going into Marlon Brando right now.
Yeah, that's right. I like Marlon Brando. Do you like Marlon Brando?
What was Mike Tyson like?
Okay, so here's what happened.
Buddy, that's a dangerous interview because he doesn't interview well.
Well, listen.
I mean, he tells people to fly a kite all the time.
Remember I told you whenever I get the desire to exercise, generally I sit down and wait for it to pass?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been inclined towards sports. Remember, I was tall as a kid.
Yeah.
They would pick me maybe to be the mid guy. When they found out how bad I was kicked off the team. I had sticky outy ears, tall and skinny. Nobody ever picked me.
Sure.
So here I am with Mike Tyson. All I know is he's from Catskill, New York. Well, no, he was from New York, but Gus Amato brought him up in Catskill, so he did his training. And I'm from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
Right down the
road.
I prayed to the good Lord. I said, Mike Tyson's coming to town to train, And I said, Father, would you please introduce me to him? I don't even care if I get an interview. I just want him to let him know somebody can be his friend without wanting something. I feel sorry for a lot of these famous people because everybody's clipping at their heels, or nipping at their heels for money and this and that. And so, obviously I didn't follow through quite on that. But anyway, I went into a Blockbuster. And at that time, I never went to Blockbuster during the day. It was kind of like, it almost felt like you went into a porno store or something during the day. You don't go to Blockbuster during the day. You go at night, but during the day it's like, all these movies and the dirty carp and whatever. I got to interview the guy that sold Blockbuster. No, I got to meet him. The guy that sold Blockbuster for $8 billion.
Wow.
$8 billion. He sold it right at the right time. What was his name? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Anyway, but he's dead. Who's the guy that sold Blockbuster? $8 billion. Anyway, he also owned the Miami Dolphins for a while.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, but after they won the series, he sold them out. 2 months later, ruined the whole thing. Why would you do that?
Yeah, right.
If you had to get $8 billion, why sell out your team? Anyway, so it'll come to me. I'm driving back today. So what was I going to tell you? I was telling you some sort of story.
Oh, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. Oh, so I prayed to the good Lord. I said, I'd like to meet him. So anyway, I go into a Blockbuster, and all of a sudden, there's Mike Tyson in Blockbuster. So I go up to him and said, hey, Mike, how you doing? I'm RHETT. I'm I'm a radio guy. I'd like to interview you sometime. Blah, blah. How you doing? I'm from Poughkeepsie. Oh, yeah, Catskill, blah, blah, blah. It's okay, yeah. So I give you my agent's number or something anyway. So I just figured leave him alone, So we're both in there shopping around, and about 15 minutes later, we bump into each other again. And I'm thinking, fame can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, because, later on I would ask him, I said about the biting of the ear.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, but nobody talks about what Holyfield was doing to me. He was kicking me in the groin.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so.
Well,
I went up to him and,
he got his eyebrow.
Famous is not such a good thing. It can be very hard to handle. So a lot of people kill themselves, And so I said, listen, I interviewed Dr. Graham a few years ago. I said, do what he does. Man's not made for the glory. God is. So just take the mirror, and when the glory comes to you, deflect it up. You're just a human. Be who you are. Whatever I said, something flew out of my mouth.
Yeah.
He goes, I like that. You're getting your interview. My agent's calling you this afternoon. Sure enough, he calls me, and I go up to his house, and he was supposedly bankrupt, and he had a brand new sparkly blue Rolls Royce, and he's just sitting there in an empty room watching this huge big screen TV right on the ocean, by the swimming pool. He, as an assistant, comes out, and the assistant goes, yeah, Barbara Walters would give her right arm for this interview. And so I sat there, and we talked for a couple of hours. And then so later on, I decided I'm going to watch some videos on YouTube. I didn't know some guy approached him in I think it was in South America, into a really fancy schmancy hotel lobby.
Yeah.
And Tyson starts chasing him around.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know who I was dealing with. Remember,
No.
I told you I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah, you got to watch everything you ask with Mike.
He treated me. You know what it was, though? He picked up on my gentle character. He really is tender-hearted. And I want to tell you something. He's very smart. People don't know he studies history.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He's not stupid.
Yeah. Don't let the speech impediment fool you.
And he has discipline.
Mm.
And maybe that speech impediment made him succeed. Remember a boy named Sue?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody made fun of him with that speech impediment when he was a kid. I tell you what, Tyson, do you remember? Watch the old videos. He comes out.
I just watched a documentary on Tyson going through all of his key fights, starting when he was like 18. I think is when this started. But there was also like the top 25 best Tyson interviews where he shut down the reporters, and I mean, it's just.
I want to watch that.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's just it's the same thing.
Do you
remember Tommy Lasorda?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be totally honest here. Now with my new girlfriend, we go to all the baseball games, and she's taught me about baseball. I knew nothing about baseball. I didn't have a dad growing up. My father was killed.
Sure.
So anyway, so there I am at the games, and I interviewed Tommy Lasorda. Well, I'm interviewing Tommy Lasorda out on home base, and I don't know nothing about 1967 in the World Series. So he's blabbing away. So I just asked him philosophical questions.
Right.
So that was my first interview. And at the end of it, he said something very important. He says, if you like what you're doing, do it. If you don't like what you're doing, get out of it. That's my advice to people, because you're hurting yourself and you're doing a disservice.
Sure.
Just like somebody who cooks, who hates cooking, they're going to give you lousy food.
Yeah.
Or if it's money food, you got to do it because you have a love of what you're doing.
Right.
So anyway, so it's a few months later, and I finally get a sit-down interview with him. He's in the stands, and they're having this game where he's teaching these people how to pitch.
Yeah.
He was a pitching counselor.
Right.
And RHETT Palmer, they want you down there. Okay, so the guys in the press box all say, "Hey, good luck," you know. So I go and they have 2 security guards, and they sit me next to them, and I'm like nervous as can be. So I'm asking them questions with my little tape recorder, and hey, you, no, knuckle it over here, put the knuckle about. He's telling this guy how to pitch, you know, and going on. Then I ask him more questions. 45 minutes later, I said, "Well, thank you, Mr. Lasorda, Tommy Lasorda." I said, "You know, I mean, this may not mean much to you, but this means the world to me. I mean, your world recognized, and I just thank you for your kindness." Whatever I said, it must have pricked his heart. So I get up and I leave. So I go up to the stands up there, the press box, where they have free sandwiches and drinks for everybody, you know. And the guys from the AP, they're all the big shots on their computers going, "Hey, Palmer, you got 45 minutes with Lasorda. Nobody gets that. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah." All of a sudden, Tommy Lasorda stands up, goes, "RHETT Palmer, get down here." Oh, no, and everybody goes back to their computers like, "Oh, God, what's happening now?" Their tail between their legs, you know. So I gingerly walk down, and I go, "Hi, Mr. Lasorda." He says, "Sit down here." "Yes, sir." He says, "Give me that tape." I said, "But it's the only tape I have." He says, "Oh." He says, "Well, then rewind it. We're going to do it again." I must have touched his heart, and he said, this time he looked at me in the eye and gave me a wonderful interview. Look at that.
Wow.
That's my Lasorda story. Something I said when I was saying thank you touched his heart. He must have been chewing on that when I went back up, and then he decides, I'm going to do
Isn't
that interview
amazing?
with that guy.
So you lost the original.
Last time, Tom... No, I didn't lose it. I kept the tape. But, well, no, I recorded over that, yeah. The last time, though, here's really cool. I'm a nobody. And just a little town talk host, you know. So the last time he was in town that I would see him alive, he was in a golf cart, and they were doing some event with the original owner of the Dodgers. And he looks, I'm over here on the stands, you know, with the press and stuff, and he waves to me. "How you doing?"
Isn't that something else, man?
But, you know, there's always a Forrest Gump. See, God gets a kick out of this. It's the Forrest Gump syndrome. He always puts somebody that doesn't deserve to be where they are. So here I am sitting. I'm there. Eldon Walker became my friend. He was 96 when he died. He won one World Series and lost one World Series. He pitched for the Detroit Tigers. Well, he was a neighbor down a few streets down. We became good friends. So anyway, Tommy and he were best of buds. So there I am having lunch with Eldon Walker and Tommy Lasorda and two other guys. Wow. So anyway, so finally I go, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I know I have this inferiority complex. It's going through me like, I don't deserve to be seated here. There's a million other people that are baseball fans who should be one of the 5 people at this table, not me. So anyway, I look over at this guy. I said, so what do you do for a living? He says, "Oh, I trade commodities and stuff." And I said, "What's your name?" I can't remember right now. He owns Red Sox. Who's the guy that owns the Red Sox?
What's up?
Anyway, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What year was this?
It's got to be 18 years ago, 16 years ago. He also used to own the Marlins, I think. His name is, he has the same name that, who's the guy?
Jerry will let us know.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry! Who's Jerry? Hey, yo, Jerry!
What a career, man! What a story! What a story!
Especially for a nobody.
What's the deal with the book? What's the name of the book? When are you going to write it? When are you going to finish it?
Well, I did finish it.
You did?
Yeah, but my arrogance won't let me release it.
Why?
Because I'm afraid if it actually sold, I might be embarrassed by someone.
What's the name of it?
It's called Private Conversations.
All right.
And it's not exactly the interviews, but it's what it was like.
Do you have a publisher?
No, well, I had a couple people come after me because they said, "Well, because you're on the radio, we'll probably sell a few copies."
Well, you should get this thing, get it bound up, man.
But it tells stories like, I interviewed Carter, I interviewed Ford. Here's, you want to hear a cool story about President Ford? So anyway, I end up, this guy who's a sponsor owns a restaurant in Vero Beach called Mr. Manatee's. He doesn't own it anymore, but Craig. So he and his wife, for some reason, book us at the same hotel to hear the president speak, President Ford.
Okay.
So he says to this day, "I didn't put you on the VIP floor, but I ended up on the VIP floor. He didn't even end up on the VIP floor, and he was paying for the rooms.
Yeah.
So there I am. I walk down the hall, and there's all these guys from the Secret Service. So I said, hey, guys. I said, do you know Ron Kramer? He used to work with Nixon. Oh, we know Ron. Oh, great. How you doing? I'm RHETT Palmer, and he comes on my show. He's a sheriff in Indian River County. Oh, tell Ron we said hi. So I go inside to the room. And next door to me is obviously President Ford and all his Secret Service guys. So all of a sudden, this voice within me says, turn around now and go out the door. The president has to walk by your door. I didn't hear an audible voice, just an unction. So I go out the door. I look to the right. All the Secret Service are gone. I look to the left. There's a little bald-headed guy in the back of his head walking with two Secret Service. That's him. So they go down to the elevator. So I go up. I say, Mr. President, nice to meet you, President Ford, blah, blah, blah. Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'd like to do an interview. Well, maybe someday we'll do an interview. So they're waiting and waiting for them. I said, well, really would mean the world to me. I'd really, really, really like, please, Mr. President. All right. I'm speaking tomorrow. A little afternoon. Be downstairs at noon. So anyway, next day I'm there at the door, at the stage or wherever it is. Anyway, back behind the scenes, and the Secret Service says, well, the president's really quite busy. I said, the president said he was going to do an interview, and I want my interview. Not quite like that, but you know. Anyway, so all of a sudden this arm goes out under my arm, and they whisk me down these hallways. And back then, they didn't even check my briefcase because it was before 911. I could have had a bomb. I could have had a gun or whatever.
Sure.
They didn't check anything back then. So anyway, they whisked me into this. Finally, I'm here. There's a chair here. I mean, a sofa here, a table, what do you call it, a dining room, what do you call it, living room table, whatever you call that thing, coffee table. And then there's the couch over there, which I guess is going to accommodate the president. So finally, he comes in and he goes, come on, I've got a lot of things I need to do today. We got to wrap this up. So I'm going, so I go like this. I'm shaking. And I go, 5, 4, because my engineer always has me do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the president goes, well, RHETT, so glad we could spend this time together.
Oh, yeah.
Totally changed his whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, you want to know who was the realest guy I've ever met? President Bush Sr. He was nice.
Yeah.
Always made me laugh. Met him a
few
times. Last time I saw him was in Kennebunk.
Yeah.
And I went to church at St. Anne's on a Sunday. Happened to be up there.
Yeah, they're always there.
And they put it outside.
Yeah.
And guess who was on the front row with me? So when he went out with all the crowd bothering him here, then I went around this way. I waited for the crowd to disassemble. Then he's just there in his wheelchair. And I said, hey, how you doing? Well, how are you there? And he's in Vero Beach, his former doctor for the White House, Dr. Burt Lee, lived. He says, how's the good doctor doing? Yeah, blah, 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 And so finally they put him in a car. He's in the front seat, just like Billy Graham. And then everybody's disappeared except for the Secret Service are in the car with him, and he's looking right at me. And I went like this. And he went right back like this. Just me, little old me. Just like that.
I love it.
And I had a former president of the United States who has a great sense of humor. I like his son. I've met him. I've also interviewed Jeb's been on my show. Jeb, I don't like. Jeb doesn't have a sense of humor.
A Florida boy.
He's just not warm and cozy. I want a heart. Give me some heart. He was very cold. Last time I saw him, it was when he knew he was going to do the presidential thing, and he was sort of arrogant.
Yeah.
It's like he felt like he was better than me. It was backstage. He was giving a speech for $60,000. I'm back there. He had given me an interview before that over the phone. Now we're meeting for a photo op, and it just wasn't that warm and friendly to myself or Barbara. And so now the other Bush, the one who was the president, George W., he has self-deprecating humor, which is a sign of a greater intellect. But he's a little slow. He's not like his dad.
Yeah.
His dad always said something funny, was really smart, took himself lightly, and had a true humility.
Yeah,
so I just want people
believe
to
it.
know what a nice man he was.
What's up with you and the guitar, RHETT? You're a musician.
Yeah, that's how I used to feed when I was living in the ghetto of Troy, New York. Your neighbors over here. A $150 a month apartment. I used to do jingles, like I did the American Red Cross.
Yeah.
Coming home for the holidays. Or, as a matter of fact, that went national. It won 2 Gold Addy Awards. It was national for 10 years. I'm living in the ghetto. I don't have any money. I don't even think I made $10,000 a year. Well, I didn't know, even though I gave it to the Red Cross, I made no money on that one. I gave it to the Red Cross, that because it was on the air, I could have gotten ASCAP or BMI royalties.
Right.
I never knew. I didn't know. Anyway, and I do jingles like it's a little sandwich, roast beef. It's a pee-wee, yeah, I love 'em, or grandma's pies. And so I used to do jingles.
Do you write these?
Yeah,
Yeah.
write them and record them. I used to go up to Canada because when you go over the border, used to be anyway, I don't know how it is the dollar now. If I had $5,000, I go over the border, suddenly I got $10,000.
Yeah, sure.
If you're going to rent a motel room back then, which was $45, $50, $20 bill, you got a motel room.
Yeah.
So I go to the little town of Westbrook, West something or other, and there was a studios there. I forget the name of them, but I would go there and do my recordings, and then I'd piggyback some of my own songs, a songwriter.
Yeah.
Trying to make it. I've been turned down by every publisher in New York City a number of times. To the point where I didn't quit, but I did quit. And I want people to know that you can quit without quitting. What I did was I stopped getting rejection slips because it hurt so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm never going to quit. Well, but I did quit.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I realized one day I said, you haven't gotten a rejection slip in 20 years. But then so a couple of years ago, I did do a song for a movie called Call Me Mrs. Miracle. Have a very Merry Christmas, and I'll send it to you this Christmas if you want. Have a very Merry Christmas, a very Merry Christmas this year. Well, the sleigh bells are ringing and the children are singing. Have a very Merry Christmas this year. Moms, dads, girls and boys, church choir singing songs, celebrating Christmas Day. Jesus Christ is born, Jesus Christ is born. So anyway, I get this deal. I got the song. And we're waiting there watching. There's, 23 million people watching the first time it debuts. I still get my little checks, $129 or something. Never. First year maybe $400 or $500. But anyway, residual checks. So anyway, the lady from Hallmark calls me from Canada. Now they shoot up in Canada because it's cheaper to shoot in Canada.
Sure.
So anyway, she says, well, Debbie Maycomber's become a friend, the New York Times bestselling author, so that's why they used my song. She says, well, Hallmark is not about Jesus. Hallmark's about Santa Claus and Christmas cards. So I don't know what we're going to do. We're either going to have to cut out the name of Jesus. It's Christmas. It's about Jesus.
Thank you.
Anyway, for crying out loud. So I sit down. I'm all excited. 23 million people are going to see it. It's been seen by over 100 million people now. We're waiting to see it. She said, well, your song's in there for 81 seconds. 81 seconds? Wow. Okay. So all of a sudden we're watching the TV. It's 2 weeks before Christmas. And I said to Barbara, I said, there it is. She says, where is it? I said, there it is, my song. I can't hear it. Where is it? As they're walking through the mall, they played it softly because it mentions Jesus. Hallmark's not about Jesus, about Santa Claus and Christmas cards. They did what the writer wanted, but they toned it down.
It was a
You
music
can hear
bed.
it if you listen hard. And my heart sunk. I went into a depression for weeks. Because at that moment I said, when this comes on, I said, I could die now. Now I've reached 23 million people. Over the next few years, it's going to be seen by 100 million people. That's it. I don't need anything. I don't need any money. I could die. I've done so. I've declared, I happen to believe in Jesus. I've declared the name of Jesus, a Christmas song that maybe moms and dads and families will love.
And they've got it in there as a bed.
So
Unreal.
I just went into a deep, deep depression.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very sad. And then I called Debbie back, and she says, well, at least you got bragging rights. She's the writer. Debbie Maycomber, have you heard of her? No. She sold 200, well, you wouldn't because you're not a chick. She's the 50, she's had 18 New York Times bestsellers, #1 bestseller. 18 #1. They had the Hallmark, she has Hallmark TV movies all the time. She has the series, she had a TV series on everything. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah.
She's a little lady like this, her and her husband, and she's little teeny tiny, little and chubby side. She's the most lovely, positive human being you'll ever meet. And her husband Wayne used to listen to my show, and that's why he said, you need to get on Rhett Palmer's show.
But
and that's
you keep the guitar close by you though when you're doing.
Oh, you've seen that? Yeah,
oh yeah.
Well, some people like like I had that diplomat on this morning from former diplomat to the U.S. and he says, well, people like it when you pick up the guitar and do some goofy stuff, which I don't do when I'm up here because I'm doing the interviews over the phone.
Sure.
So back to the one-on-one, but people like a little. What is it called? Comic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like you. You know that. You're a DJ. You're a talk guy.
When do you head back? When are you heading back to Vero Beach?
Well, right now, COVID's really strong in Florida.
Yeah.
So we may not go back when expected.
Okay.
The plan is to go to Maine for a week, hike, and then go down to Portland.
Yeah.
And as I said, I have, I'm partially involved with an airline, so I get to fly down, no charge,
Wow.
So I can fly down from Portland. That's why I fly you down if you want to come. Fly down right to Vero Beach, stay for 10 days, and then fly back up. And then, because we want to see, it's been, we've never seen the fall since I've been with Barbara 12 years. She's never seen the full fall.
Yeah.
And I haven't since I moved away from New York at the age of 35, 36. So
You got to do it.
67. So I want to see the fall. So we go down there, do some business, then fly back. Then come back to Stowe, stay at our friend's place there for a few nights, and then hang around. I want to see the foliage,
Yeah, you need to do that.
Yeah.
Get over to the Cold Hollow Cider Mill and get some of their
Yes.
their
We
cider
did.
donuts.
And the donuts.
Have you had the donuts?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's good. Come on.
Yeah, of
If
course.
I had a donut.
Yeah.
Donut, no, I wouldn't miss that.
Oh my gosh. What an absolute pleasure it is
hope so.
to meet you, to chat with you. Man, maybe we can do something together. I would love to come down there and hop on your show with you sometime.
Well, what I want you to do is give me an S. What do you buy these things, and how do you put them? How did you know how to do all this?
I don't know how to do any of this.
Folks, you can't see it now. I really I'm tell you what. As soon as you do this, mark my words, people are going to love it. Just every once in a while, flick to like a fisheye camera over there that shows all this. When I walked in, I went, "Wow, this is so cool, man!" I actually thought this was real stone.
We do have
See on the thing, that looks like real stone. That's not real stone, folks.
Yeah, we do have.
JD's really a phony.
we do have another camera over here. We have a performance area over here on the other side.
If I bring my guitar, I sing over there.
Yeah. So we have live performers over there.
I just bought a guitar too up
Did
there.
you?
In, where did I buy it? Exit 12 near the Christmas store.
Christmas tree shops, Williston,
Yeah, right around the corner there. Yes.
Guitar Center.
Yes, I just bought a guitar there.
Did you really?
I bought a little Yamaha. When I was 16, my brother bought me my first guitar, and I was just thinking he's no longer alive. And I thought, I found this little guitar. It's only a couple $100, but it had such a good sound.
Yeah.
And so I bought it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even think I could. Should have come on here and use it because then I can write it off.
Wow. Get it? You should. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, JD.
I really appreciate it. And
nice to meet a fellow talking shop with you. And
yeah,
the people are hey, folks, you're very blessed to have this guy. This guy's your community, and support him. You got a business, support him. If you're good at writing, what did I say about those things you write for? And you get him a grant. If you're a grant writer, come in here and see JD. Help him out, would you?
Oh my God.
Help JD out, and it's a lovely studio. Stop in. It's right on the street here. Where would you say you are?
We're on North Main Street, directly
Main
across
Street.
from Nelson's Hardware.
Nelson's Hardware. You can't miss that. It's a beautiful hardware store. This is just great that you've done this. This is just amazing, and they should appreciate you and embrace you and support you.
Well, Vero Beach is certainly blessed to have you as well, my
They've
friend.
been very kind to me. I came there. I couldn't even afford $500 a month rent.
Isn't that amazing?
Now I have a beautiful home, and I don't know how long I'm going to have that home because now with the prices of real estate,
Right.
all my wealthy friends are saying, sell it.
And God bless Barbara for putting up with you. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Barbara and Sherilyn have a lot in common. They put up with hooligans like you and I, right? We're very unusual people.
That's why we need to start a clan.
Well, we should. Well, let's get that.
Oddities unite.
Let's get that ball rolling, man. Wow. RHETT PALMER, this time around, the mayor of the airways, the guy that's been in radio for 28 years, and finally had the plug pulled on him from Clear Channel, and he said, to heck with radio. I'm going to do my own podcast, and since then has just been crushing it, man. And you really are pulling in some crazy numbers. You're doing a heck of a job. You really
thanks.
are. You really are.
I'm sure you are too, and people follow you. You've been on the radio 32 or 33 years?
Well, 30 on the air. Yeah.
33
on the
in
air.
the business.
Yeah. And right now we're averaging just under 30,000 views a month on a 28-day average, which we're blown away by.
I got another idea for you.
Oh God!
You put in this beautiful studio. You put a round table there.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Invite some businessmen in here.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? They come on. They're a guest. Next thing you know is they got cha-ching. They're going to want to advertise with you and support you.
Well,
they should support this. This is community.
I tend not to think that way. I just love chatting with people, and during COVID, and I'm sure you've done the same thing. We've extended a helping hand to any of the businesses here on North Main Street where we're a neighbor, and said, hey, if you need some help,
need some extra promotion, can't afford it, come on in anyway, right?
Exactly.
It always comes back 100-fold.
Exactly. We have to do that. I mean, we have these powerful things called microphones. We got to do that, man.
Yeah.
Thanks
when
for
all
coming
is said
in,
and done, a lot is said and little is done.
That's right. This is true. RHETT Palmer this time around on Aired Out. God bless you, man, and thank you for sneaking in here. Gosh, we appreciate it. Our presenting sponsor is FGB Theaters Retirement, VT.com. Aeromed Essentials, right on State Street in Montpelier. FGB Theaters, by the way, we're going to be posting up the full listing of all the movies that are going to be playing this weekend. Lily and Sherilyn and I got a chance to run over and catch a movie just the other day. It was just wonderful to unplug and get in there and eat some popcorn and watch a movie. So make it a family movie night real soon. Vermont Custom Woodworking for this amazingly beautiful desk that we are set up on here at 185 North Main Street in Barrie. The Barrie Montpelier Times-Argus, thanks to Steve Pappas and the rest of the team over there. Mr. Pappas comes in every Wednesday morning and talks about what's hot in our community, in the paper. Donnybrook Fight Promotion getting ready for the Battle in Barrie 5. You have heard us talking about this so much. It is coming September 11th, right there at the Barrie Auditorium. If you would like to learn more, just simply get on Donnybrook Fight Promotion's Facebook page, and you get the tickets through Eventbrite, but it was great to have Jeff on the show yesterday, going for the heavyweight Donnybrook championship title match against Josh Walker. But it's coming. It's coming soon, and we want you to be there. It's going to be a packed house in the Barrie Auditorium. RHETT Electric, master certified, serving all of Washington County and beyond, and super busy right now. So if you need any electrical work, get in touch with Chris Wright over at RHETT Electric. Fontaine Forestry and Millwork, locally harvested lumber and just their kiln drying that they do there. If it's a rough cut, if it's planed, if it's tongue and groove, shiplap, it doesn't matter. They're going to do an outstanding job for you, and they'll turn it around real fast. Mark Fontaine and Sharon, kudos to both of you, Fontaine Forestry and Millwork. Jason Gothier over at Gothier's Quality Grounds and Maintenance, a guy that is mowing, trimming, weed whacking, landscaping, and just, well, insane right now. Quite frankly, he is just up to his eyebrows with work. But get in touch with them. Get on the list for some mowing or some landscaping this fall. K&W Tire, they've got their big promotion going on right now. If you'd like to swing on up there, you can nominate someone in our community to win a set of 4 brand new tires. Winter, summer, it doesn't matter. You pick, or they pick, but they're going to win the tires. Get up there, drop the name in the box of someone that you feel is deserving of a set of 4 brand new tires over at K&W Tire. Emsley's Florists and Gifts. Just got Sherilyn and Lily some flowers the other day. Sherilyn loves her lilies; they're amazing. And Lily got her back to school bouquet from Emsley's just the other day delivered. We love them. Great Facebook page and real strong in the social media with Instagram, by the way, as well. Granite City MMA, Lucas John and the rest of the team up there, morphing you into a defensive machine. Protect yourself. Learn how. Get over there. Have a look. Meet the team. Meet the guys and the gals over there that are doing some great things in their lives. Over at Granite City MMA, just above the House of Tang, River Street, Montpelier, and Barslow Construction, one of the busiest companies that I know, period. They are booking out well into the fall right now and so busy. Keep watch for the Hammer Time tip of the week from Barslow Construction right here on Aired Out. RHETT Palmer, our guest today. We appreciate your eyes and your ears. Take good care. God bless, and we'll catch you again real soon here on Aired Out.